And the mind is a non-physical thing. Just like when you imagine something, it's non-physical, okay? It's not in your head, really. So that would be very important for you to understand first. As your first step, why I call it the non-physical brain. Like I told you, the ice cube or distant thing, or I could give you another example of why we as humans have to think of a certain way. Say, this is the world, this round thing here, and I'm right here, and you would tell me which way's up, and I would point that way, of course. But if I live over here, down here, and you tell me which way's up, I would point that way. And if I would be right here, I would point that way. So, which way is up really? It's just an example. We have to have logic as humans to know which way's up, distance, time. The only time we have is this present moment. I'm doing this video at this present moment. And you're going to watch it at your present moment. And that's very important because when you think of something, say, of the past, what we call the past, you're thinking of that at the present moment. The past is just an illusion. We live in a constant present moment. So suppose somebody treated me bad when I was young, and stuff like that. So I have that image of that person, and every time I think of it, I said, "Oh shit, that guy was fucked," and I get all tangled up. Suppose that person doesn't live anymore, but I think of the situation I had with that person, and I get still pissed off. Who is them doing that to me? That person doesn't live here anymore. That present moment, at that time, ain't here anymore. The only present moment is now. So I'm making a movie of what was. It doesn't exist. So I'm feeding myself information that is bad for me. So any information we have of the past, we are feeding ourselves. That information doesn't exist anymore. The only thing that exists is this moment. So you could choose really what you want to see. You could say, yeah, but that happened to me, and I feel like you're choosing it. It doesn't exist anymore. You're feeding yourself that. Why? Why, man? Why don't you feed yourself with good things? You want to think of something that was from your past, present. Here's another cat. Here you go, baby. And why don't you think of something good? What makes it good for you? Because when you think of bad images and you have that, you got to make peace with that, man. It doesn't exist anymore. Just like somebody could tell me um, fuck you, man, you're an asshole. All right? I could take that person's word and feed myself with it and say, well, we'll give it meaning and shit like that, and we get into a fight. Or I don't give it power to what that person is saying, and I don't feed myself with that stuff, and nothing happens. Of course, we have our point. Everybody has to do a button, you know? This is going to help you not to get into feeding yourself so fast, you know, like when I was younger, or not that young. You just pressed my button, I was ready to go, you know? Now, you have to do a lot more, you know? It doesn't mean I don't have the button. I mean, it doesn't really exist, but that I don't feed myself sometimes with some information, get mad, sad, whatever. But once you become aware, you feed yourself better things. A lot better things, and that's great. So, the main thing here right now is that part of the non-physical brain. The brain only functions, not only is great, our body's great, from information it receives. It doesn't do it all itself. With that information, it connects to certain things and lights up certain things. There's chemical processes, stuff like that. But where you store things, the subconscious library and all that, is not in your brain. Your brain does the function. Okay? It has cells, it has everything. Okay? And it's very important for you to learn this, because you're not, you come to believe you're just this, okay? And that's a big mistake. You live with this, okay? You live with this. You're not this. The same thing as you really are not your story. You learn from your stories different things and to act different ways that can be changed once you realize you live in the present. What's the present moment that doesn't exist anymore? It only exists if you let it exist. But for now, I just want you to know what the non-physical brain is all about. Just because there's no scientific proof, let's say, of this, because they can't see it yet, don't rely only on that, you know, on the scientific proof, because they're progressing each time, and they used to not be able to see the cells and stuff like that, and how the electricity work, and they're doing it now, so maybe it will take time for them to see some other facts of it, you know. And it's very important to know that. I mean, this is a suit we got on, okay? You don't have to, but it's very important for you to realize that all your information goes to the subconscious. That's in the non-physical brain. in our brain, we got like a little storage room where some information could stay a little bit and whatever for it to work, to process. But the mind codifies what comes in our brain. It's just like, let me give you another example. Suppose we use a camera to see by, and that image we take, once we take it, it's not real anymore. And that camera is not the one that sees, but we see it. What we learn by this is we got our eyes, and our eyes, pretend our eyes is the camera. We need the camera to take the picture, just like we need our eye. But that's not the part that is seen. It's connected. Of course, scientifically and all that, did I say the back part is, yes, we have a connection, but the part that sees is non-physical, okay? That's the connection. The brain and all that has to have to connect to the non-physical. I'm not talking spirit or ghost or no. Say everything is molecules and matter and electricity, like I said before, and waves and a lot of things that I will explain later on. And if we would look at it through like a X-ray thing that sees molecules and all that, everything would be molecules and cells going around, some bigger, some stronger, whatever, a little different, but they have a positive, negative, and something in between. And we would see that only. And if we see that, we would see beyond that, there's also cells and stuff moving. So we are a non-physical brain. Okay, there's another part. When we think of the brain information, we only think of this part, okay? But it's not the only part of the body we receive information from, or it works from. But it doesn't matter right now. What is important for you to know that you're not just this. I mean, this is very important for you to live as a human being, but you're using it. You're codifying to use this. And the way we learn as a child was wrong. We learn certain things, and we do our things according to what we learned when we were a child. And most of them were wrong. That's why we can't go beyond certain things. That's why we repeat some things that are not good, or we fail at some things over and over again because we have some processed information that we got to change. And change could come as quick as this. You only live this moment. That's the only existence. Even if, what I said, when you think back of something, think back is just a word, or the past is just a word, because it's only present moments, okay? But you could say, well, hey, motherfucker, I mean, there's a past. I used to live in that house, and I live That's a story. Um, when you were living there, you were living in the present moment, and everything is a constant present moment. The past is a moment that you stored in your brain, in your subconscious, with information. And there's a lot of information we got to change. You make a movie in your head. That movie doesn't exist really. Whatever you want to exist does really exist if you want it to. You make the movies. You're the director, okay? You're putting on the show. So you choose who's going to be in the movie. Is it going to be a sad movie, good movie? That's what you feed yourself. That's what you see of what we call the past. When there's bad experience, something like that, we got to make peace with it. We got to realize and make peace with it, because it's not good for us to feed ourselves with that. But for now, I want to have that point out, how we learn the mind, the subconscious mind, which is the non-physical, and that you didn't find Wally, even though I'm with this shirt, okay? So, okay. I'm going to make another videos, giving more example, explaining it. I'm going to make one after this. For you to do something, if you want, that's going to help you be aware and start changing some things to get out of this process. We learn that it's not right, feeding ourselves. So I hope you're good, and there's always a way, okay? So take care.